think I saw it firsthand, especially throughout the campaign trail with President Trump. And I think there certainly were evil forces, and I think that the president was saved by the grace of God on July 13th in Butler, Pennsylvania, and he's in this moment for a reason. We're all here for a reason, and I think it's a miraculous thing that has taken place in our country.
Speaking about here for a reason, let's talk about you for a moment, because you and I go back to when you were running for Congress, and you win the primary, you lose the general, and you're wondering, now what? And look at the now what? Look at the ...
Right.
that God has done. How do you see it in terms of spiritual terms, in terms of your faith, and how God has been working this kind of for such a time as this?
Well, certainly God has a plan for everyone. I believe that firmly, and you just have to trust his lead and have faith that everything will work out. And when he closes a door, it's because he's opening another. And for me, that was my congressional campaign. I aspired to be a congresswoman and had a great primary victory, as you mentioned, and unfortunately lost the general election, or should I say fortunately, because it now led me to this opportunity. And I wouldn't have worked on the president's campaign as his spokeswoman if I was serving in Congress, and then I probably wouldn't be the White House press secretary either. So God knew what he was doing, I believe, and you just have to trust the process and trust that he's working in your life, and stay grounded in your faith throughout the way.
You're 27, Gen Z. You know, there's a spiritual revival, it seems, in this country right now, especially in the youth. We've seen this at college campuses all over the country, really. What do you attribute that to? Is there a spiritual revival going on in America, or at least wanting to begin in America?
I think so, especially amongst younger generations. You see the videos of college students worshiping on their campuses, many students getting baptized in the middle of their campus. It's a really beautiful sight. I think people are moving closer to God, and I hope that they are. I pray that they do.
Do you think President Trump is part of that in terms of ushering in this renewal, the spiritual revival, some of his policies? And do you think that kind of goes hand in hand?
I would say so. I think the president has been a great voice for young people, and he believes in young people, he loves young people, and he's leading for them to leave our country better off for future generations. His policies are uplifting all Americans, but particularly, he wants young people to live in a country where the American dream is renewed and restored for them and their families, and those traditional yet common sense basic American values that President Trump believes in, faith and family and freedom, I think are starting to resonate with a lot of young people across the country.
Talk a little bit about the White House Faith Office. I mean, that's a big deal. There's been faith initiatives before. There's been faith offices before, but to do it in the West Wing, that's huge. I mean, proximity is everything. Can you talk a little bit about the impact you believe that faith office will have on policies, not just out of the White House, but in really every cabinet agency?
Pastor Paula White and her team are doing an amazing job leading up the White House Faith Office, and the president has entrusted her for many years. They've been close friends. But now, again, as you said, the proximity to the Oval Office and the leader of the free world is a promise President Trump made on the campaign trail, and he has delivered on that promise. And we see Pastor White in the West Wing all the time, past her in the hallways, and just ran into her in the ladies' room the other day. She is amazing, and she's doing great work. She's brought in faith leaders, not just from the evangelical community, but from the Catholic Church, the Jewish faith, Muslim faith, all across the country have ascended here at the White House for listening sessions, and so that way they can go out to their congregations and their churches across the country and spread the word of this administration, as well as the word of God, to their audiences, which is, the most powerful thing I think that she can do is spreading the administration's message and President Trump's agenda.
Yeah.